How's it going, guys, and welcome to this video. Today we are going to be painting up the old Ahriman model. Just give him a bit of a repaint as he was pretty shocking. Not that he's going to get much better, but we'll get him to be better. So hopefully you sit around and enjoy the video. It's going to be more of a, sort of basic tutorial. So we'll start with some Thousand Suns blue in the old airbrush. Then everywhere where there needs to be blue, but it's Ahriman, so there's not actually a lot of blue on him. So next we're going to come in with Temple Guard blue. Just hit some of those zenithal highlights. After that, we're going to come in with just the dark blue wash, and just get in some shadows. Of course, we're going to make sure that your air gun's pressure is up way too high and you accidentally overspray, but not too fast. A lot of that's going to get covered anyway. So next we're going to come in with Screamer Pink, and we'll just start to work on a couple of thin layers of that. Obviously trying our best not to get any of that magenta color on any of that blue. Well, where we want the blue to be at least. Next we're going to come in with a thinned out layer of Steel Legion drab. Just going to get that all over the sort of bone horny areas, over those little skulls, teeth of that beast, everywhere where we're going to do like a bone sort of color ish. So next we're going to come in with Rhinox brown. Begin to pick out those gloves, his little nutsack bag on his staff. A little leather strap as well on the other side of his staff. So next we're going to start the tedious task of doing gold trim on the armor. Just obviously trying our hardest not to get any gold on that blue. It's always inevitable. So we'll slap that down on those the arms of that power pack, obviously, all that stuff, all over that helm. Next we're going to come in, I should say, with some thinned out Iron Warriors. We'll just begin to slap that down on all those metallic sections that we want to bolter, the handle of the staff, blade section down the bottom, those inlets on top of the power pack. And now next we're going to come in with a medium tone grey colour and just start to pick out those fabrics that we want to be white. So get in there as well as we can and get that little cloth in his midsection, and then those two little bad boys hanging down from his helm. We'll just quickly come in with some blacks, get those tiles done on the ground real quick. We'll also come in with just the same standard grey and just get those alternating tiles. Also get that beast that he's standing on back just down to a neutral colour. As you can see, the flies love to annoy me. So next we're going to come in with Magos purple contrast. Just experiment with this, see what it wanted to do. This contrast is a bit hit and miss most of the time. I'll add one layer. As it's drying, we'll come in and we'll begin to get some corn red in on those eye socket sections. Now that thinned down, or that Magos purple contrast is dried, we can come in with another layer. Build up those deep purples a bit more. Now we're going to take some sepia tone, just begin to work it into all those still legend drab sections. Just to give a bit of depth. So now we are going to take the Screamer pink and begin to dry brush up on top of that purple. Now we're going to take Pink Horror and again start to hit those raised areas. We'll quickly come in with a, oh geez, what's the purple wash called again? Drugy Violet. That's right. Just begin to get a layer of that down on that corn red section. So now we're just going to take, this is pallid witch flesh, I do believe. We'll just start to get those actual eyes themselves back to being nice and bright. Now we're going to come in with Lamenter's Yellow, I do believe it's called. Just give a quick little brush over those parts. Just tint them yellow. So now we're going to come in with some black to begin with, just to get a nice little section for this pupil. Can't forget the ones on his body as well, of course. So now we're going to come in with some Lotheren blue. Just begin to actually work on the iris itself. After that, we're going to come in with some Bahareth blue and just begin to lighten up, working from sort of, that 2/3 section into the center. Then we're going to take some thinned out white with a little bit of tiny little bit of blue in there as well. We'll just begin to work on that center part. Of course, finally we'll get that actual pupil in, so we'll come back in with the black. I'm gonna do a goddamn best to get a nice straight line, but that'll always fail. We'll get something that resembles a line, of course. Right, so now we're going to take some Nuln oil or any old black wash. Start picking out the rivets, force some into those deep crevices around the helm. So hit anywhere up that's gold and or metallic metal colors. Just drop it in the recesses as much as possible. Just try to keep as much as that of that metallic sort of exposed. Don't want to dull out too much of it, or you'll be doing too much work later trying to fix it all back up. So now we'll come in with the same just dark blue wash. Just pick out around those rivets on the power pack, drop some into any of those creases, any of those recesses in the blue areas. We'll end up putting way too much on the feet, but shit happens. So now we're going to get some of that Baharoth blue. Come in, pick out the tops of those rivets. Get just a few hard edges. Not that there's a hell of a lot on the Ahriman model that are blue hard edges. Again, he's pretty covered up with those robes and these gloves. Alright, so now we're going to start to work on these white cloth parts. So we'll come back in, we'll just fix up a few of those areas where some of that black might have gone a little bit wild. So we'll reestablish that mid-grey. It's not really mid-grey, but you know, it's a light grey. Alright, we'll call it what it is, it's a light grey. So next we'll just add a little bit of white into that grey. Start to work up, starting off the edge itself, just working a little bit. Come in with some of that pure white. Just get those edges, sort of a bit more of a stippling type action, just to give it a slight bit of texture. Now we're going to come back in with that retributed armor and just start to fix up any areas there might be a bit too much black wash. We'll reestablish those rivets, some of those flatter areas where it's just easy just to slap a full wash on. So now we're going to just come in with a nice bright silver color. Pick out those rivets, get some of those harder edges. We'll try to keep it as thin as possible to get a slightly better blend between the two colors, but ultimately there'll always be sections that look a little bit too hard of a transition. So we'll also use that same color to just highlight the Iron Warriors sections. Alright, so next we're going to come back in with that Screamer Pink. We'll re-establish some of those ridges after dropping a layer of Drudgy Violet on it. So we'll obviously keep this relatively thin. We'll just start to work on those ridges, work it down into the valleys a little bit. So after that, we're going to take some of that Screamer Pink and we will add some Corn Red to it. Thin that bad boy out. We'll start to work up on those ridges again. So you're leaving aggressive amounts of the last color. So now we'll start to add some white into that, just progressively. Just work up that color, make it a bit lighter each time. We'll start to get in some of those sort of stippling action. Just again to add a bit of texture to those areas. Again, we'll add just a bit more white into that to brighten it up for that final edge. Try to be nice and careful. But ultimately, we'll always end up fucking some of them up. But it's alright. This isn't a golden demon. It's just to get him looking a little bit nicer than what he was. As I painted him, at least 7 years ago now, be close to. Now we'll come back in with those greys again, now that we've done all the other parts of the robes, and we'll do that inner section. I won't bore you with the whole thing. It's the exact same as before. Just progressive white into that grey until you're happy. So we'll come in with some more dry brushing action. We'll just take a Sharpie Bone, I think. Screaming Skull, one of the two. Just dry brush all over those sort of bone areas that we're going for. So obviously after that we'll add a little bit of white into that. Just work up those dry brushing layers. Getting up those little skulls, the skull on his shoulder pad as well. And next up we'll take some almost white. Begin to pick out those sort of edge sections. Now working up, we'll come in and re-establish some of those browns after putting the black wash on there. So that Rhinox brown base layer, come in and fix it up a bit. Come in with the tried and true recipe of Doom Bull Brown next. Just again, try to keep it with a stippling type action. Get those fingers of the gloves, just a few of those sort of creased up raised sections. You'll be coming with that final layer of Steel Legion Drab. Just again, nice light stippling action as much as possible. Try to get some sort of texture, some sort of leathery texture. Next, we're just going to come in and get that book real quick. So start off with a base layer of corn red, and we'll obviously work into it with some Mephiston, very thinned out. Then we'll come in with a tad bit of Evil Sun Scarlet. We'll get those very edges. Again, try to keep it thin. And then as a final layer, we'll come in with some Jacaro orange. Just try and get those very edges. Stippling action, try to give some sort of worn look. Next, we're going to come in with some horror pink. We'll start working on those sort of muscular parts of the eyes. We'll progress just a bit of white into it, just to try to get a nice, vibrant contrast area on that sort of furthest part of the eyelid. I don't know, whatever you call it. Well, at the same time, while we're doing this, we're also adding these colors to the hard edges of the arms of that beast that he's riding. With the eye, we'll come in with that pallid witch flesh again, just to re-establish the sort of whitey eye color. We'll add some white into the pallid witch flesh. Just adding it as we get closer to that pupil. Coming with a almost white. So you get that little mouth on that boy. Not that I've been showing that section. Finally, we'll come in with a gloss finish. We'll just put some gloss on that eye. As we can never really be fucked putting too much effort into gems, we'll just pull out the old, what's the red gem fucking technical called again? A Waystone, Spirit Stone Red, that's the one. So now we're going to start working on these sort of energy parts. We'll start off with Incubi Darkness. Nice base layer of that down on that staff eye, also Ahriman's eyes themselves. Next, we're gonna work up, progressively adding more and more Cabalite. Sort of try to do a semi-OSL type thing going on. After that, we're gonna start to add in aggressive amounts of Gorse Blaster Green. Just to start to lighten it up. We'll always, obviously, keep those layers progressing into the middle. Less and less, obviously. Each time, try to get a semi-decent transition. get that final layer, almost basically pure force plaster. And then yeah, this is him, all finished in his glorious, well, not better than tabletop standard, but not anything to be too prized about. Just enough to give him a repaint, get him prepared for the upcoming comparison video, so he doesn't look as shite. So for that base, I just basically worked up some layers of light gray, like Mechanicus standard grey on the black tiles, and then some white on those grey tiles, and then we just went all over with a couple of dark washes and then some pigment powders, just to give it a dirty tile look. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you can take something from it, but most likely not. Yeah, other than that, hopefully you like the video or subscribe. Would appreciate it if you check out one of the other videos on my channel. But other than that, I hope you have a brilliant day. Enjoy. I'll catch you next time.